Okay, I wanted to get this out of the way before the video starts. The program in this video will not be fucking optimal. It is how Alex Eubank thinks you should train his philosophies, but like altered so that it actually works, because the programs that he sells, I think, are pretty subpar for the most part. And so there will not be any fucking abs isolations in the program. There will also be no neck isolation. There will be no fucking trap isolation or anything like that. There will be minimal supersets. It's not going to be the best for your time. It's not going to be the best for pretty much anything except fucking replicating Timothy Eubank. And I know a lot of you like him, so fucking, yeah, go use it. You're going to make good progress. It's just keep those things in mind. Alex Eubank has, over the years, inspired thousands to get into the gym and change their lives for the better. Compared to the other fucking supplement peddling young LA Gymshark people, the advice offered in his videos is like that of a monk in Tibet who you traveled 3 winters to seek. That being said, there are some things that he says or does that conflict, for better or worse, with the widely accepted natty training practices. I will be your magnifying glass in this video to examine these principles and take you through how to make an effective hypertrophy program based on them. Holy fuck, it's so much easier when you write a script. My fella, this part of the video would be actually 5 minutes if I didn't write a script for this. I'm gonna do this from moving forward. To rip the band-aid off and get it out of the way first, we're going to be examining some stinkers in Timothy's training philosophy. For starters, let's get the worst one out of the way. The people he hangs around with in his videos, though they may be totally fine people off screen, I have no way of knowing that. They do not promote good training principles, and in many cases they can blackpill the viewer through their negative feedback loop of shit advice and shit practices. These people are often on tons of gear, and their content does not provide any real value or education. The people who watch them often do so to live vicariously through them and buy their horseshit supplements, which results in almost zero positive outcome for anyone but the creator. While Alex Eubank himself is better about this, and definitely strives and succeeds at putting a lot of value in his videos, it is not a good sign that he associates with these people instead of the other naturals on this platform who are making a positive impact. Some examples of this are Funny French Man 1, Funny Bald Man 1, Funny Bald Man 2, Funny Bald Man 3, who was a natural but he's still cool, Basement Man, Funny French Man 2. Up next on the list of shit I wouldn't want to wipe my ass with is the same 20 pounds that he bulks and cuts each year. He is finally now committed, at least he says, to the bulk, as he said recently on his channel, but if we look at the trends in previous years, there's a small chance of this going well. He switches very easily from bulk to cut, pretty much every year, losing and gaining the same 20 pounds, which is fine for him, because I have no business telling other men what to do and what not to do with their bodies. This seems to be going well for him. Fucking success-wise, he doesn't seem to mind, it's fine. But it can inspire some less advanced lifters, such as myself, to follow in his footsteps, which in this instance will not end very well for us, as our net weight would not be trending in a positive direction, and we would just fucking stagnate, not make progress, end up at the same weight year after year, which we do not want. This one is actually going to be the second to last one. It's the fact that he program hops all the time. He changes his splits, frequency, priorities, intensity methods, you name it, almost every time you tune into his channel. Again, yeah, this could work fine for him, but it's probably inadvisable for you. Not staying on a proven program consistently and putting in the effort required has been my biggest mistake so far in terms of lifting, and it's a problem you can almost entirely avoid as long as you put relatively blind trust in a program that's good enough and near enough to your goals. Last but not least is a quick one: supplements. I will make a full video on pre-workouts and shit like that in the future, but for now, all you really need to know is don't fucking buy his supplements unless you're so well off that it genuinely doesn't make a difference in your bank account. Finally, we've gotten the stinkers out of the way. We can get into the positives of Alex's philosophies on training. First off is a massive focus on form that, for some reason, everyone knows consciously, but forgets as soon as they set foot in the gym. But other people's ego lifting and their fucking disregard for form can be blamed on Alex, as he repeatedly pushes for using a form that's appropriate for your goals, whether it's milking a stretch or a squeeze that he's found through experience that helps more to get more out of the exercise, or something to keep in mind to avoid an injury. It's very good that he encourages newer people who come to his channel to be accountable with their technique. Alex also likes to take the slow and steady approach to progressive overload, which leads to less plateaus and less anxiety about adding weight over time. He consistently speaks out against the fucking starting strength fellas who make you add weight jumps by any means necessary, usually at the cost of your health and aesthetics, by just fucking turbo bulking to your next PR. He really gets the most out of his current weight by fixing his form, adding reps, sets, and intensity techniques first before he adds more weight. Though this can definitely be taken to too much of an extreme, this is a great way of almost never getting injured and getting the most out of less weight. Do not, however, misinterpret this as an excuse to not train hard. Make the most out of your current weight, but when it's time, stop being a bitch and go ahead, fucking add those 5 to 10 pounds. This is the key to consistent muscle growth over time. Last but not least, this gives him a bunch of credibility in my opinion. He is natural. Despite what several retards may lead you to think, his level of muscularity can 100% be achieved and surpassed naturally. Anyone who thinks differently is just fucking limiting themselves, and I feel sorry for them. He's been going at this for 6 to 7 years at this point, the lifting game, and there's no reason why in this given time frame you couldn't do the same, or even more, maybe a little bit less than him.
But what if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? Can I make as much muscle as Alex Eubank? Then
Shut the fuck up. You're not gonna get hit by a bus tomorrow, my guy, obviously. This is for the vast majority of people. If you have some, like, fucking... If you actually have some, like, autoimmune disease, well, yes, obviously, this doesn't really apply to you exactly, and you have bigger problems, and I'm very sorry, and I hope you get those fixed. But for the vast majority of people who have access to the same things he does, you can fucking do it. My guy, he's natural. Shut the fuck up, he's not on gear, please. Alright, bro, let's get to the fun part, building the actual program. This is a process you can replicate with whatever style of training you would like to do, as the steps here apply pretty much across the board. Alright, get your nipples ready. It's time to actually build the program. I fucking forgot what I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, Alex Eubank, wonderful. The split we're going to be using is one of his favorite splits. It is the Arnold split, also known as chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs. So let's fucking type that in right now. Alright, once we have the skeleton of our template, we are going to be looking at what each session is going to bias. For example, chest and back 1 is going to bias chest. Second one is going to bias back. You guessed it, shoulders and arms 1, going to bias shoulders. Second one, going to bias arms. Fucking leg 1 is going to bias quads. Legs 2, going to bias hamstrings. Amazing. Now, what does Alex Eubank love more than his own family? Pre-exhaust. So we're going to add in a pre-exhaust for each day, which will be optional, because for some of these days, I don't think it's a good idea. But for some of the days, it's definitely a good idea. So let's fucking write those in. Alright, wonderful. Now we have all of our pre-exhausts written in here. Now, for the thought process behind this, the chest and back ones are pretty self-explanatory. These are two muscle groups that people oftentimes have fucking a lot of trouble actually feeling. So these will help you a lot during these sessions. For the shoulders, one, face pulls. It's a nice way of warming up your rotator cuffs and also fucking getting some rear delt and like upper trap and fucking mid trap volume in without having to take up a bunch of extra space in the program. Now, as for what I think is optional, for the leg days, I genuinely do not think you need a pre-exhaust, because most people's problem on a leg day isn't that they fucking don't feel the muscle, it's that they feel the muscle too much, and therefore it hurts too much. You can skip these ones if you want. You can also skip these ones. The shoulders and arms ones, as you will see later, will not be optional, because you really fucking need these if you want to have the best time on the days. And the chest and back ones aren't optional, are still optional, I mean, but are strongly recommended. Now, what are the reasoning for these exercises? Let's start off with the chest and back days. Since these are the two of Alex's best muscle groups, it's probably worth listening to what he has to say about them. His methods of training them both are pretty similar. He has one heavy movement to push mechanical tension, as he calls it, one movement that's still a compound, but you feel a better mind-muscle connection and usually focus on the stretch, and one isolation movement per day, per muscle group. I do not believe that you need all three of those on every day you train the muscle, so the muscle that gets put on the back burner and isn't getting prioritized skips the isolation for the day. Tons of quality work is still being done for it though, with 2 intense exercises, but the muscle getting the priority for the day is the one that gets the cherry on top, which is the fucking fly or the pullover. in the case of the chest and the lats. Moving on to shoulders and arms, his methods for training these two are less thoroughly fledged out than the chest and back, which I think shows in his physique. These muscle groups are still very developed, obviously, by virtue of him training for this many years this consistently, but even he admits that they get slightly dwarfed by his chest and back. What's key to take away for the shoulders is the focus on the rear and side heads of the delts, with some attention still going to the front with direct overhead pressing. As for arms, he really likes, much like a bunch of people these days, the stretch of the incline curl, and warming up his elbows with a fucking rope push down before going on to a more intense tricep movement. I included a reverse curl for forearms and brachialis development, as well as an incline hammer curl, which Alex himself uses to greatly enhance the overall aesthetic of the arm. As far as legs go, Alex is pretty minimalistic, sticking to only 3 to 4 exercises for most of his leg days. If your leg days are a pure leg day with no supersets or other floater isolations, I think this is the way to go for pretty much everyone except for the people who want absolute fucking tree trunks. There are 2 movements to target whatever is being biased on that specific day, and 1 movement for the muscle being put on the back burner. So in this case, we're talking about alternating between the quads and the hamstrings being the priority. Calf work is included on both days because it's easy as shit, my guy. It's kind of fun. It doesn't take away from anything, and it's a part of your leg. And the adductors are isolated to increase testosterone by upwards of 390%.
Called the sus machine.
Okay, I will be going in raw, no script, no nothing, showing you how I make the rep ranges. For all the smaller muscle group isolations that aren't arms, we can immediately go and make them like fucking 10 to 15, 12 to 15. Oh yeah, and also I'm gonna fucking like add a lateral raise somewhere. For calves, we're gonna go slightly higher, 15 to 25. Just so you get a bunch of quality volume on that. Don't need to worry a whole lot because it's a wide ass rep range. Just as long as you keep progressing on that over time, you will thank yourself. Now as far as the heavier shits go, let's go with a 6 to 8 for this. Let's go with a 6 to 10 for this. I just love that for the shoulders. You can go a 4 to 8 with this if you want. I'm going to do 6 to 8 because Alex never likes to go below 6 reps for any exercise. This also benefits from a 6 to 10. Actually, the hamstring curls also benefit from higher intensity from what I've fucking noticed. Barbell row can go from 8 to 12, which is the highest, I think, of any of like the beginning compound movements. And the dumbbell presses, these can go from 8 to 12 as well. Wonderful, that takes care of many of the main things. Now as far as this pull down or pull up, I actually recommend that you make this a pull up because it's your heaviest back movement of the day. In that case, you will do as many reps as possible, or fucking 4 to 8. 4 to 8 if weighted, and as many reps as possible if body weight. With the kind of secondary exercises for each muscle group, flat dumbbell or machine press, this here is a 6 to 8, so we can make this slightly higher at like an 8 to 12. This unilateral row of choice, we can make that the same. It's a fucking good rep range for rows. We can even put that up a bit at a 10 to 15, since we don't want to row in the same rep range for all of our days. This pull down / pull up, you can do either as many reps as possible again, and I recommend this would be a different grip than the previous day. Either an AMRAP or, again, fucking, 10 to 15. For this flat barbell or dumbbell press, we're actually going to be fucking, moving this up a bit. Moving the rep range down a bit. And for this incline machine press or dips, we will do a fucking, If it's an incline machine press, let's do 8 to 12. And if it's dips, 5 to 8, if they're weighted. As far as any of the pre-exhausts go, the reps are not applicable. This is because you're just doing this to get a nice pump in whatever muscle group you're doing. Same thing for the band curls / press downs. The main thing with the fucking pre-exhaust is to not go to failure on any of them, except for maybe the face pulls. Definitely not any of these. So you can still push hard on whatever exercise you're going to be doing first. Incline curl, I actually think 6 to 10 works wonderfully for this. Fucking surprisingly. Trust me, it's not going to be too intense. You're going to be able to push through it. Give 6 to 10 reps a try. For this reverse curl, we're going to be doing an 8 to 12. That makes sense, and the same for this rope or dumbbell extension. Skull crusher and JM press and the barbell curl. So actually we're going to keep this at a fucking 6 to 10 as well, just like the Skull Crusher. So these are both going to be pretty intense as far as our movements go. For this leg press or hack squat, I'm very sorry for your loss. It's going to be 10 to 15. They're both very stable movements. They can handle it, trust me. For adductors, 8 to 12, nothing too fancy, don't need to overcomplicate it. And for back extensions, we can make this a 10 to 12 as well. Not too low, not too high. Wonderful. Now that we got our reps, we can fucking start to put in our sets. So here we have the program. These exercises are not set in stone. You just have to fucking use your brain a little bit to, if you would like to alter them, you have to make sure that the rep ranges still make sense. This will not work for an advanced person. If an advanced person is watching this video, they will know that, so I do not need to specify that. But as long as you can fucking, like, bench 4 plates, this should give you some pretty good gains and also allow you to train like the epic funny man Alex Eubank. Thank you very much for watching this video. I may do a separate outro. If this is the outro, then have a good day. But epic, cool video. Someone, who the fuck sent a LAR?
Fucking, how the fuck sent Lara?
What is LAR?